Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ray, and we are here to watch a bunch of stuff from the new season 3, I guess, of Interview with the Vampire, now retitled to the Vampire Lestat. So, we're not calling it season 1, though, I don't think. I think people are still kind of calling it season 3, even though technically it has a new title, but it's not really a new show, you know? I wonder what that was like to have to work out a deal like that. Because I don't think it was the intention in the beginning. I think they were going to originally call it the Interview with the Vampire the whole way through. And then they last minute decided to go, no, let's change it with every book. And I'm like, all right. I'm of two minds of that. I think it's cool and it's fun in a niche way as a fan and as somebody, familiar with Anne Rice's work. But I feel like if I were just some random person Googling, having a show change its name in this way, like completely change its name, like every other season, would be a bit tricky in terms of promotion. But it's tough, right? Because when you get to Queen of the Damned, everybody knows the name Queen of the Damned because the movie, it was a cult classic. Like, it wasn't necessarily a good movie other than the music and Aaliyah, but like it was definitely a cult classic. So it will. I have the feeling that when we get to the Queen of the Damned stuff, the fact that they're calling it, they will probably change the show name to Queen of the Damned, will actually help boost the search results. I don't know. Tough to say. So, but either way, it's fun. It's fun. So we'll call it the Vampire Lestat. So I am filming on the day that they just had like a fan fest or something. IGN, I think. IGN had a fan fest, and they I know that they released a clip, not a trailer, but I also haven't watched the trailers that they have been doing for the last couple of months. So I've queued up three videos that I've seen for. Queued up three videos. I was going to do a fourth one, but I decided not to. From like a year ago, but I'm not going to do that one. So I'm just going to do the most recent stuff. So like a few months ago, they released a first look trailer or teaser or whatever. Then they released a really short teaser, like promo, like a couple of weeks ago or so. And then today they released an exclusive clip. So I'm going to watch those three videos all here in one sitting. And then I'm going to talk about them. I'm going to try and cut up this video into sections. Like when I say cut it up, I'm not going to cut it up. You're going to get the full thing. But I am going to discuss it in sections, I think. So I'm going to watch these three clips, talk about my feelings on what we can expect in a hopefully as non-spoilery as possible. And then I am going to try and put book talk into a separate section. That way, if you really don't want any kind of book talk at all, you can, just stop the video before we get to the deep dive. I think that part is going to be the longest because that's where I'm going to be theorizing about what they're going to do in the season. So it's going to be much longer. Should I cut it? Should I put that in another video? I might put that in the second video. I'll decide later. But I'm excited to watch these clips because I've been editing the first and the second season for my Patreon. And I've been starting to edit the first season for YouTube, and I'm going to start releasing, the cut down, shortened version of the show on YouTube. Right now, I am close to wrapping up the final episode of season 1 on Patreon. If you're interested in jumping over there just before I get into season 2, over on Patreon. But and first episodes of every season is always on my free tier for all of my shows that I watch. So feel free to check that out if you're interested. just to let you know, since you may be watching this, I'm going to put this up on YouTube before I start putting the show up on YouTube. So prepare yourself for that. But just to give you a background on me and my relationship with Anne Rice, I have read half of the Vampire Chronicles ish. I have read up through the Vampire Armand. And I am spoiled on certain things that happen after the Vampire Armand. Does that make sense? I didn't read past the Vampire Armand. I thought that I'd stopped at Memnoch the Devil, but as I've been watching the show, stuff has been like coming back to me about the Vampire Armand, and I'm like, no, I've definitely read the Vampire Armand. So when I get to the spoiler talk half of this reaction, I will be talking at least up to the Vampire Armand stuff. And I've read a little bit of Blood and Gold. I thought that Blood and Gold was before the Vampire, or was before the Vampire Armand, but no, it was after. And I remember reading a little bit of Pandora, and a little bit of Blood and Gold, not all of it. I was mostly just interested in, the Armand of it all. And so I have some excerpts. I have read some excerpts from that and some like chapters from both those, but not a lot. Certainly not the full book. And then I have been spoiled on a few things about the final trilogy. So like I have some knowledge of that. So I just want to give you guys an understanding of what I know from the books. And I do want to say that I read these books, a lot of this stuff, a long time ago, like 15, 20 years ago. So I definitely don't remember everything and every nuances, and some stuff I definitely remember incorrectly. And some stuff I've absorbed through osmosis after being in a fandom for a long time. I mean, I'm not an active member of the Vampire Chronicles fandom because it's really racist. So, like, I don't really... There's a lot of forums out there, and a lot of them were real white. Let me just say. They were real white. So, I didn't engage a lot with Anne Rice's fandom for a variety of reasons. But that was one of them. But I'm enough in the vampire urban fantasy, fandom in general, and those kind of books in general, that by osmosis I've been spoiled on a bunch of stuff that happens in the later books. Even though I haven't read them, so I don't, I'm not going to sit here and quote something to you from the final books or anything. So, anyway, so that's kind of an overview of what I've experienced with Anne Rice. I have not read the Mayfair Sisters or Mayfair Witches books. So that's something. I have not read those. I have not read most of the new, Pandora was part of the new Vampire Chronicles that she was going to start, I think there was another one too that I have not read. And like I said, I didn't read all of Pandora, just like maybe a couple of excerpts, some chapters or something. Maybe I started reading it. I don't know. I don't remember it. I just tell you right now, wholesale. I can tell you right now, I definitely do not remember anything from Pandora, even though I'm pretty sure I read a couple of things, like a couple of chapters or something. And then what else? Oh yeah, she has a bunch of other stuff that I've never read. Like, doesn't she have like a Sleeping Beauty adaptation sort of story? And then, of course, she went through a period where she became like super Christian again, and then she wrote a bunch of like Jesus fanfic. I don't know how else to describe it, but that's kind of what she wrote. I didn't read any of that. So, anyway. I know I say that, the irony of me saying that she wrote Jesus fanfic, given my givens about Anne Rice's experience, relationship with fanfic, or old relationship, because she lightened up in later years. years before she passed, but still. So I'm going into this with that much knowledge. Again, it's like 10, 15-year-old knowledge, but this show has actually helped me start to remember stuff that I thought I had forgotten. And I'm also realizing through the show that Armand is my favorite character in the Vampire Chronicles. Because I remember the most about him. I think that's one of my criteria, is that I remember the most about Armand and his story and whatnot, more than literally anybody else. So, and the show is helping me remember that, because I'm like watching the show and I'm like, yeah, that happened. Oh yeah, that's when this happened, you know? So, all right. Enough gabbing. I've been gabbing for like 10 minutes. Let's just watch these clips. And then I'm going to get into kind of my thoughts, my general thoughts on where I think the show is going to go based on what I see in these clips. And then I'm going to deep dive into what I think they're going to really adapt from the Vampire Lestat and beyond, right? So, all right, let's just watch the clips. Let's get into it. Let's go. All right.
Call comes in from some Hollywood asshole asking me whether I want to write the movie version of the book. I'm like, blow me, lose my number.
All right, Danny.
Calls me back a week later.
Daniel.
What about a documentary? I'm like, Louis won't even talk to me. He says, not Louis, Lestat.
Yeah, because that's like the premise of the season.
I'm like, blow
it's
me.
Like a docu-series or something.
Calls me back a week later. I want to direct it, figuring that'll end it. I have one meeting with him, a meeting with Lestat's lawyer, and it's Vampire Rumspringa for Danny Boy Malloy.
Not Vampire Rumspringa.
You read it?
Yeah, you read it?
You liked it?
I didn't like me in it.
I bet.
Passive, selfish, a liar, and not the lying to myself kind of fucking.
That's book Louis. Okay, so the show actually did a number of things to update Louis' character for modern times and for television. I don't want to say he's he's not, it's tough. He's very different in the books. I think that some of the character beats are still there, but he's very different. And it's not just because he's black in the show. Like, that's one of the things, and that's actually one of the things that gave his character a little bit more nuance, or certainly a different kind of nuance. Let's say that. He's just going to be different because he is a black man, a Creole black man who grew up in the early 1900s, right? He's just going to be different because of that. And so that experience and other things, which I'm not going to get into yet here, but have changed his character. But what he's describing here is very much like the book Louis and movie Louis, right? Because movie Louis and book Louis were in general closer together in demeanor, let's say. It feels a little bit like a like a nod to that, especially because they're talking about the in-universe interview with the vampire book.
Liar.
He didn't like the part about Claudia and him on the train.
But I mean, it also is him. Like, it's him here too. Like, they're not completely different people. Louis from the show and Louis from the book. Like I said, traits are still there. Ooh. Young Lestat. Hate me. So I've heard this song already. They released it like a year ago or so, right? Ooh, the band. Gabby, Nikki, Magnus, Pops. Ooh,
He did not direct a play and then come home canoodling with one of its victims, did he? Who did that, I wonder? Who's the name?
That would be Armand.
Armand.
You want to get into Armand?
Are we in divorce court? What's happening?
Presence, but
I'm happy to discuss Armand if you think that would help.
Is it true that you had a second home in
Oh, he's hella jelly.
We did.
Did you take turns driving across the Golden Gate Bridge? Who held the wheel harder?
Writing numbers on each other's backs and pretending to guess them wrong.
I bet. I bet! Come on. Very specific detail to pluck out of thin air!
You the one who started talking about Armand, bro.
Let's go and circle back to the particulars.
Hold on, what was that?
I bet! Come on. Very specific detail to pluck out of
What's
thin
he looking
air!
Oh, he's a vampire. And he's hot. Oh. Louis, look at Louis' face. Oh, buddy.
Let's try to
Look at his face. Car crash. Ooh, that was Raglan and Rashid, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, Rashid with glasses. All right. That's hot. Rashid is a handsome man. He's a handsome man. And then Louis and Lestat. All right. In the shadows. All right. Oh, Claudia. My Claudia. Ooh, too far. Oh, I want it. No. There we go. My Claudia. Bloody hands or burnt hands? Oh, that's a bit dark. If they are burnt hands, that's dark. Oof. Yeah, he, I'll save that. It's in blood. All right. Ooh, Nikki. Was that Nikki? Yeah, it was. Oh, with a hand cut off? Oh, but this is now. This is modern times because that's like a poster. It's like a regular mirror and stuff. Interesting. So this is Lestat like hallucinating or something. Gabby and Lestat at the strip club. All right. Oh, was that Bruce? Hey, Gabs. That's a hallucination because that doesn't even look real. Oh yeah. Lestat's hallucinating big time, baby. Oh man. Oh, each one of these is like a crazy shot. Okay. Daniel backstage. Louis super bloody. And that's Bruce. I thought that was Bruce. Okay. I think I know what's happening there. Oh, my baby. Just looking. We only had a couple shots of him, I guess, so far. What is this? Is he in this? I don't know. Gabby. Ooh, Gabby kissed a girl, because of course she should. They're really playing up the whole, like, rock star angle, huh? Coming 2026. I was going to stop and talk, but I think I'm just going to watch this one. I think I'm going to save the actual clip that released today for after a discussion of these two, but I'm going to put, since this one is so short, I'm just going to put these two together. So
Could you state your name for the camera, please?
I am the Vampire Lestat. I am a god.
My music.
all right.
Why now?
Yeah, why music? Why now?
You and Louis talking again?
Yeah, babe? Oh, same shot as earlier. Yeah, that was really short. I thought it was going to be really short. Okay. So the first two clips, they were really short. They were really, simple. Although the first one had two scenes in it. They had the opening scene with Daniel and Louis kind of talking about the book, and how Louis feels about reading himself back and his own POV. Of course, we know from the end of season 2 that Louis had intended to burn the book, but he forgot that. Even though Daniel has been repeatedly talking about about technology the entire interview, somehow Louis forgot that the shit could back up to the cloud. Even though that was like that was a bit much. The linchpin moment at the end of season 2, middle of season 2, when we got the spectacular episode, Don't Be Afraid, Just Start the Tape episode, that Daniel backs shit up to the cloud. Baby, he backs shit up to the cloud. So, burning his laptop didn't do much. But of course, he now knows, we know also from the end of season 2, that the Talamasca has been, helping Daniel and has edited the book, and taken some stuff out and added some stuff in and done who knows what to the writing, and to the facts. They have their own agenda, whatever that may be. It might be different in the show. I haven't watched the Talamasca show yet. Sorry, there's something in my eye. Give me a second. Sorry about that. Eyelashes curl inward into my eye all the time. It's totally irritating. It's still not 100% done, but I don't have time to keep pausing. So, what was I saying? I was saying something. Oh yeah, the Talamasca went and edited the book, and we don't know what they did. I haven't watched the Talamasca show, so I don't know if that covers it yet, but I'm like trying to make my way through season 1 of the Mayfair Witches. I'm filming reactions to all of them, so I know everybody and their mama said that show was trash, but I'm still gonna watch it. So I'm still gonna react to it. So I am watching that and filming reactions to it right now. But I haven't gotten to the Talamasca show. I've heard mixed reviews about that one. Some people enjoyed it, thought it was fine. Some people was like, nah, it ain't worth it. So, we'll see. We'll see when I get to it, because I'm gonna watch it either way. But Louis now knows that too, because they had Daniel, Jesus, I've called him 3 different names in this one reaction. Daniel has had a conversation with Louis about it in the end of the last season and mentioned them. So Louis knows that Daniel was working with the Talamasca during the interview, and they had some control over the book. So I'm wondering what he felt about it. Is he more angry about it being printed at all? About the fact that he doesn't come across particularly in a flattering way, or at least to his feeling, or is he mad that they edited him and his thoughts? I mean, we had a whole discussion in the first and second season about the way that memory is fallible, but then also people who self-deceive often convey information with bias and editorialize in a way that masks the truth. Like we had the whole, repeated concept of Claudia's diaries and having pages torn out, and how that is in fact censoring her words, editing her words, changing her history. But then again, those diaries could be suspect as well. Those are Claudia's diaries are not infallible and not without bias themselves. She is writing from her own POV, first of all. Second of all, once Lestat and Louis read her diary, everything that she writes after that is suspect, because now she knows that they have read her diary, and she could be changing her diary specifically with the understanding that they have read them. You know, like knowing that they might read her diary again, she could be making shit up, like putting anything in there. Maybe not wholesale, you know, like stories or anything like that. I don't think it's going to be anything like that. But, you know, like even her diaries, even though that's her POV, even that's not without bias or without agenda from her, you know. So I think it's interesting to see Louis kind of question that himself, his own, the way he appears and is perceived by the public, and how he's perceived by himself, and you know, how he feels about his own words and his own portrayal of himself and the situation. And, you know, and he's probably feeling some kind of way about having not seen the truth of Armand for like 70 plus years. 77? 77. I know it wasn't 80, but it was close to 80. 77 years that they were together. And he's got to be feeling some kind of way about the fact that he didn't see him. Like, yes, Armand was playing with his memory somewhat. I actually don't think he was playing with his memory as much as people think and assume that he was. I know it's like it's a fandom belief that Armand was just playing Swiss cheese with his memory. I actually don't ascribe to that. I actually think he probably only messed with his memory once or twice. That's about it. I could get into a long discussion about that if you guys want, but about why I think that Armand wasn't doing all kinds of crazy shit to his mind like people think. Sorry, I have to change this image because it keeps refocusing on Lestat's face. Sorry, 1 second. All right, we're going to try this background image and see if that helps. Keep it from refocusing on Lestat, on Sam Reed. Anyway, what was I saying? I can't even remember. Oh yeah, I could have a whole video about what I think was actually happening with Armand and Louis, and how much or how little I think he was actually doing, like mind spell stuff. Sorry, the mind gift and the spell gift. I always mix those up. He's a master of the mind gift and the spell gift. Like, he's peak of the peak, you know. I don't want to say peak of the peak because there are definitely people that are probably stronger than him, but he's one of the strongest with those gifts, even for his age, especially because he's only like 500, a little over 500. So his mastery of those two gifts is impeccable, given how relatively young he is actually. Anyway, but we're not here to talk about that. So I can discuss that in another video, I think, about what I think was actually happening there. So, but for Louis, it makes sense that he's probably feeling like embarrassed, upset that he couldn't see the truth, and feeling some kind of way about wasting, at least to his mind. I don't want to say wasting his life, because that's not how Louis would think of it. Like, he wouldn't think of anything being, at least I don't think he would think of anything as being a waste. Like, these experiences are part of him and they shape him. And he's going to probably take those in as, you know, just learning, changing, growing, right? Like, he certainly came to a point of, self-realization, or he came to a point of calm or assuredness, I would say, at the end of season 2. And he certainly, but he also was spent the whole first 2 seasons trying to piece together his memory, and in doing so, piece together his identity. And it was quite the journey for him. And it was very emotional, and it was very intense, and it was very, vulnerable. So he's in a very vulnerable place, I think, starting off this season. And I'm curious to see what they're going to do with his character. I'll talk a little bit more about what I think is probably going to happen in the spoiler section, but we can see from the clips that he's bloody. He's still in the mix. Him and Lestat are having some kind of divorce or something. I don't know what that was. It looked like a divorce. Like, what was happening? They both had their lawyers there. We saw Bruce. I'm pretty sure he's probably going to be like hunting Bruce or something. We saw Bruce's image there. And we saw him all bloody and stuff like that. But the scene with him and Lestat was fucking hilarious. just rage baiting. That's exactly what he was doing. He was just rage baiting this dude. So he's like, they're having some kind of legal proceedings. Maybe Lestat is, I don't know, negotiating the movie. No, but he would be negotiating with Danny. Maybe he was suing them for defamation. like nobody thinks that this is real. They all think it's like a fictional, vampire story, promotional stuff. Or maybe that's why, because he is a rock star, and he's, he has a contract, I'm sure, with like a studio or like a, I don't know, a label or something. Maybe they're negotiating using the book as promotion for his consort. Can I not fucking talk? Concert tour. Jesus. It's really late. That's why. So I'm wondering if maybe that's it. They're like negotiating how to use the book. But like, again, I still feel like Danny, the clip in the beginning did say that Danny had already met with Lestat's lawyer. So maybe they've already done the negotiations between them two. And so now they need to do the negotiations between him and Louis, because Louis was the subject of the interview. As was Armand. Are we going to have a scene with Armand and Lestat meeting in modern day with lawyers? I can't see Armand doing that. Armand wouldn't care. Like, he's not going to care. He's going to be like, do what you do, brother. My dark brother. Like, do what you do. He's not going to, I don't want to say he's not going to care, like he's not going to care what Lestat does, because he cares very deeply about what Lestat does at all times. But more like he's not going to like sue Lestat for using the book that he was partially an interviewee for promotions for his concert. He'd probably be quite, chuffed about it. Actually. I don't think he's going to be concerned with that at all. I think he's doing his own thing, and we can talk about that when I talk about Armand later. It's interesting because it's different in the show, right? Like, in the show, it's been updated to the 2020s and whatnot. Also, we've done some different things with the interview that were not there in the book or in the movie, I guess. And so we've like Armand wasn't in the interview in the books at all. Like, his interview was completely separate and much later. He was in the interview in the sense that he was in the story because Louis was telling the story of the theater and everything like that. But that's the only Armand that we saw in that book. He wasn't actually in the interview with Louis or anything. So they've changed that. So that's why I'm like, wait, if this is a legal battle over the interview and he has to meet with everybody involved with the interview, then that means Danny, Louis, and Armand. But I just can't imagine Armand just showing up with a lawyer. Not that he can't do business, because we clearly see that in season 1 and season 2, specifically season 2, that he's, completely fine in the business world. They're like black market art dealers, and they do all kinds of shit, business shit. They lived in Dubai, for God's sake. But I'm just like trying to imagine Armand showing up with a lawyer and being like, yeah, let's do this thing with Lestat. Hilarious. Yeah. We'll see. So we saw a bunch of other stuff. Like we saw clips of Claudia. So we're going to see more of Claudia as the two of them. Like she's, a huge part of their lives individually and together. So she's always going to be part of them. And certainly we are in the visual medium. So if she's going to be there, we can have her actress be part of the show in that way. Just like we had Lestat be, Louis be hallucinating Lestat for the whole first half of season 2. So I'm excited to see more of that, but we'll talk a little bit about that in the spoiler section as well. And then we saw characters that I know are in the Vampire Lestat book: Gabby, Nikki, Magnus, the band, whose names I never remember. Sorry, guys. I don't remember his band members' names. I feel like they were more in Queen of the Damned than they were in the Vampire Lestat, though. Weren't they? Weren't they more in Queen of the Damned? It's been so long, you guys. But yeah, his band members and whatnot, I don't anticipate us to delve too deep into them. I did see that we only have like 7 episodes again for this season. So not 8 episodes like second season, but 7, back to 7. So I don't know if we're going to get much of his band members, but they were characters. Given all the stuff that we have to cover in 7 episodes, and I guess I have some stuff that I can save for the spoiler section about that, about how I think they're going to approach the story. Yeah. So, and we saw Gabby. Did I mention Gabby already? Yeah, Gabby, Nikki, Magnus. We haven't seen Marius yet, even though I know that Marius has been cast. And who else did we see? I mean, obviously Lestat's childhood. We're gonna get into his childhood, which was interesting. We heard a little bit about what happened to him in the first season, even though we didn't delve too deep into it, because he was just kind of reluctantly telling the story to Claudia and Louis. I'm definitely splitting this into 2. I think I'm going to wrap this up and then watch the actual clip in a separate video. Yeah. And then do the spoiler section in there. Anyway, we heard a little bit about his family in that, but we didn't get to obviously see or any flashbacks or anything. But this is the season where we need to get into Lestat's human life before he was turned into a vampire, and how those experiences shaped him as a vampire, and then his early vampire years and how those shaped him and made him the person that he is by the time we get to Interview with a Vampire. So this is a very important season for Lestat. Obviously, it's called the Vampire Lestat for a reason. And I think we're going to get some really good stuff from out of Sam Reed in this season. Because Lestat's story, like I've said it in the first couple of seasons of the show throughout those reactions, and you'll see those as I release them on YouTube. But I like Lestat. I mean, he's not my favorite character, but he's up there. He's in like my top 3. Yeah, he's in my top 3. He's a good character. He's a good protagonist too. He's generally the protagonist of the entire Vampire Chronicles. I know the first book mostly centers Louis, but every other book after it. Well, I don't want to say every other book. but the majority of the main books are Lestat based. Other than the well, it's tough, right? Because there's a bunch of books that have nothing to do with Lestat. Like the Vampire Armand, even though Lestat is in that, the Vampire Armand is not really about Lestat. It's about Armand. Blood and Gold is about Marius. Pandora is about Pandora. You know, like, you know, it's not, her book is not about Lestat, really, you know. There's other books that are also like that are, you know, not really about Lestat, but he might be in them. He might be helping to narrate them or something like that. But in general, they're not about him. So I'm very curious to see how the show's going to adapt those. But we can talk about that in the spoiler section. But anyway, but he's generally the protagonist of like the books that have like the main action happening, right? And I like Lestat, and this is a very important season for Lestat and a couple other characters that I'm not going to get into yet until we get to the spoiler section. And what else did we see? Not much, just a lot of the concert stuff and like him dancing on stage and being a rock star, etc., etc. So yeah, we'll see. But all right. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. I didn't talk about the second clip. So the second clip has Daniel and Lestat meeting, which I'm super excited about because I am chomping at the bit at the idea of the Dan-Stat relationship. Because, well, I'll save that for a spoiler section, but it'll be really fascinating. I'm super curious how they're going to write that dynamic. Because let's just say I don't remember them having much interaction in the books, actually. Daniel and Lestat, very little interaction. Like, I think only like, he's obviously, they are aware of each other, and well, I don't want to get into that. I'll save that for the book spoiler talk. Like, I was gonna say something and I was like, no, that's a spoiler. So I'm interested to see what they decide to build, because the show universe is different from the book universe, and so they can do different things. So, you know, I'm curious. I'm very curious. We had the scene, obviously Daniel's a vampire now, so we had the scene of him with his eyes. We had the scene at the end of season 2 where we first learned that he's a vampire, and his eyes change colors. Like, he can voluntarily change his eye color from human to vamp blue to vamp brown, vamp gold, whatever, and his eyes look like Armand's eyes. I don't know if he can choose a mode in the middle, but he can at least go from his human blue eyes to his vamp gold eyes, which I think is cool. His eyes are different in the books. In the books, he has purple eyes, but, you know, it's fine. And they're unique in that way, but like in the show, I think it's interesting to have him have these, you know, this unique ability with his eyes, or feature with his eyes, which I guess matches with him being the fledgling of Armand, because Armand is super powerful, so I could see him having some fun little tricks and gifts and abilities that they decide to give to him in the show version. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, why not? Because he's... what did I see people calling him online? Nepo baby? Nepo fledgling. Yeah, like he's got... a maker who was 500 years old and had never made another vampire. Baby, he's powerful as a fledgling. Way more powerful than he probably has any right to be. He's going to be a problem, I think, in season 3. I'm excited to see what they do with Daniel. Because like I said, they have rewritten his character enough that he's almost a brand new character. Like, they could literally do anything with Daniel's character. There's like a handful of beats, story beats, that they have to hit, but Daniel's not in the books that much as far as I've read. He's actually only in like maybe the first book, third book, and then after that, he's mostly just like mentioned as an aside. Even in the Vampire Armand book, he's not really in that one, which is crazy because that's Armand's book, but he's not really in that one. So like they could literally do anything with Daniel's character. Like, he's an easy character to comp into the show and change and adapt for whatever they want and whatever they need. So we'll see. All right. I have been gabbing for almost an hour. So we're going to wrap this up. I am going to split the clip that released today into its own video, and then I'm going to put all of my book talk spoiler stuff in that video, and I'm going to film it right now. So I'm going to wrap this one up. Yeah, I don't have much to say other than, hey, check out the reactions over on Patreon. I'm soon going to be releasing the cut down versions here on YouTube. I'm working my way through, I gotta like, editing takes a long time. It takes the most time for me. So it takes me a while to do that. And then I have to try and put it up and then see if it gets copyright hit. And then I take it down and edit it some more. And then I put it up and then maybe it's okay now, or yada, yada, yada. I have to go through the whole thing. And that's it before I start releasing it. I try to do at least 2 to 3 episodes ahead of when I start releasing, so that I can give myself a little wiggle room in case I don't know, get depressed one day and don't feel like fucking editing in the weekend. Like, shit fucking happens. So I'm going to start editing and trying to release that soon, but you guys are going to see this video and then the next video, the reaction to the other clip, before probably a few weeks before I start releasing the actual show on YouTube. So, get ready for that. All right. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Let me know what you guys think about these 2 clips. Are you guys excited? I am. I will, I'll go ahead and jump over to the other clip and get into my really spoiler thoughts of what I think based on my knowledge, my limited knowledge of the books. All right, we'll wrap it up. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Whatever, all this ever, but you long gone, it don't matter.